beautiful soul. Welcome to the Quantum Business Queen podcast. This podcast is a vortex for activating wealth, riches, and boss bitches. It is here that I teach multi-dimensional business. Our content will fall under 3 different categories: 5D quantum creation, 4D frequency alchemy, and the most potent 3D strategy. Every aspect of business that contributes to the creation of success is covered here. Plus, I will be personally interviewing the most amazing boss bitches that are at the forefront of the game, paving the way for money, magic, and magnetism in business. Let's get ready to activate all of that within you. Hello. Hi, everybody. Okay. I want to tell you guys something that happened to me. I feel like I'm learning more and more and more about energy as I just become more present with everything. It is really, really interesting. I was speaking to someone yesterday and we were talking about embracing contrast. Contrast is just part of the reality. And one of the most important things is when we are experiencing it, not to make it mean anything, right? Because the meanings we give something is what provokes the emotion. Okay, so just sit in this. The meanings we give to contrast is what provokes the emotion. And then the emotion is what creates the frequency. That's what energy is. Energy in motion is an emotion, and the emotions are provoked by the meanings. So we have to be super freaking careful. We experience our reality through the meanings that we give things, through the experiences that we have and the meanings we give them. That is how we experience our reality. Now, this is important because the meanings can do a couple of things. The meanings actually do a lot of things when it comes to frequency. And the meanings come from our programming, basically, in our past experiences, our traumas. And the meanings are there as a protection mechanism if it's a negative meaning, right? Because our ego is wanting to make sure we see everything ahead of time. And we need to make this mean that I need to go into protective mode and I need to pull out or I need to do whatever. The meanings create emotions, and then the emotions drive our behavior and our actions. So we need to be hyper freaking aware of all the meanings we're giving when it comes to our success and what we're going to create in our business. Now, the most important thing is there's 2 ways to alchemize these things. Sometimes you just have to freaking decide your way through things, right? You just have to decide that I'm going to stop fucking making this mean this. Do you know what I mean? This no longer means this to me anymore. The other thing that I've been fasting. I broke the fast late yesterday. And, I don't know if you guys have ever been through fasting, but at least there's something that happens spiritually when you don't put food in your vessel. When you talk about the universe is ultimately you inversed. And so when you don't have food in your vessel, it's like you get to tap into a different layer of the universe, which is a different layer of you. And so I was having really uncomfortable feelings that I was alchemizing. And it was interesting as I witnessed myself, I was so freaking present. I was witnessing myself have all these uncomfortable emotions and feelings, and subconsciously, immediately I felt myself wanting to push the emotions away. And they have been things that have been sitting in me for a while, but I've managed to suppress or distract myself from or whatever. But when you fast, it's there because there's no way of numbing that, right? When I fast food, I also fast other things like TV, etc. because I was just so incredibly present. And what I noticed was I noticed myself wanting to push these emotions away. And I know what happens when you do that with energy. I did a social media post on this yesterday. And this is so important because the energetic world works opposite to the physical world, meaning the physical world, if you want something to be further away from you, you physically push it away and it moves further away. And so subconsciously speaking, when we have an uncomfortable emotion and we want to push it away, our programming tells us that that's going to move that further away from us, but that's not what happens in the energetic world. When you try to push something away, you continuously reactivate it. Number one, because you're aiming attention at it. And number two, it's like you're poking at it, you're pushing it, but it continuously fuels it and it reactivates it. And so because I know that about energy, I felt these uncomfortable emotions, and instead of pushing it away, I actually invited them in my body, which is weird, right? Like I am like, come into my body, emotion, come to me. You want to come in? Then let's have a cup of tea. You want to chat? You want to be around? It was so weird. I invited them in. I was like, come in. And as I was doing that, I felt the energy immediately start to alchemize. And I was like, okay, well, this doesn't logically make sense to me, because energy, like I'm inviting it in. Why would I want to invite that uncomfortable energy into my body? And I got very clear message around what I teach when it comes to quantum discernment. So I cannot even tell you guys how important quantum discernment is. And for those of you who haven't heard me talk about quantum discernment, it is when you take a truth. Okay, I shouldn't say a truth, because ultimately there are no truths in this universe. There are no truths. There are laws. There are the laws of gravity. There are the laws of the universe and laws of creation, but there are no truths. I mean, every religion has a spin on what they say their truth is. And they are like, this is the truth. But to someone else, it's not, right? Truth is a very subjective thing. But this is why quantum discernment is so important. When you take information and you move it into your body, what happens is you literally recalibrate your cells if that truth is expansive to you. Like if I'm talking to you about a bit of information and you're taking that information, you're pulling it into your body and you feel your cells expand, and it's because it's aligned with what your higher frequency truth is. It's like, it's aligned with your soul's frequency. So you can invite that in as a part of something you would call a truth. Now, this is important when you understand, like I only now invited my highest truths. My highest truths based on what my highest timelines are that are available to me. So when you can understand quantum discernment and you can understand you are inviting truths in that only expand your cells, and what happens on a cellular level is your body is able to hold more light. When your body can hold more light, it holds more of you, because you ultimately are a fractal of source, right? So when you have the ability to be in quantum discernment, you can invite things in that may feel dense or may feel like in a lower vibrational frequency to you, and it is alchemized because what you are holding is your own quantum truth. So it's like that light based on the truths that you have invited in. And you know you're inviting this energy in to be alchemized because you no longer want it there. That's the intention behind it. But you're inviting it in. You're not inviting it in because you want it to become a part of your reality. You're inviting it in because it's a frequency that needs to be processed. And when you can be in quantum truth and quantum discernment and your cells are already holding the light, those two things don't coexist. So I did that in this fast. I was feeling these things that felt heavy to me, these belief systems that I created from my subconscious and from the things I've been through in my past and whatever. And I felt these belief systems just here. And instead of pushing them away or ignoring them or whatever, because they kept popping up, that wasn't working. I was like, all right, let's try the opposite. Let's invite this in. Let's invite this in to be alchemized. Because what happens is something that is a distortion comes from pain. And I want to describe to you what happens. What happens when we go through trauma and we go through pain is we have something that happens to our consciousness, which is fragmentations. Like this is us as a fractal of source. Let's just represent it as just like this beam of light that comes into our body. When we have trauma, this will start to fragment. It will start to kind of split. Your energy starts to split into fragmentations. So you have a trauma as a child. Maybe you see somebody get abused and boom, your consciousness will start to split. And it does this because it's a protection mechanism. You have the part of you that is going to remain in your pureness and your light, but you also have the part of you that is fragmented off because it feels like it needs to protect you. And so this fragmentation will create a belief system about your reality. And this fragmentation will start to create an energy resonance, and it can also create part of your personality. And so what happens is it becomes its own little mini consciousness. And this is the part of you that needs to be healed. And what we don't realize we're doing is we're pushing it away, pushing it away, pushing it away. You think of this fragmentation as a child. Imagine it, all it needs is to be invited in and held and nurtured. And so I was feeling into all the discomfort and instead of subconsciously pushing it away, which is probably how most of us are programmed, because we're programmed to navigate our physical reality. I don't like this. I want to push this away. I invited it in. And in inviting it in, it healed itself. It was invited into my source of pure quantum truths, the truths that I have created within myself, based on my soul's resonance, based on my soul's energy, what aligns to the frequency of my soul. And I invited those things in to be held, and they alchemized because they felt safe. It's like they finally felt like they were being heard and seen by me instead of being pushed away. It's like, imagine a part of you always want to push away, push away, push away. That part of you is going to continuously feel abandoned and like it's not going to trust that you're going to show up for it in the way it needs to. And so I can't tell you, the next day I was vibing so high without even consciously realizing it. I wasn't even going to try, put any pressure on it needing to do anything. I was just like, but how do I alchemize this, all of these things that I'm feeling? The next day I was vibing so high. I get random call bookings, random emails from people. How do I work with you? How do I blah, blah, blah. So it's like, oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Instead of continuously needing to push it away, invite it in. Invite it in, pull it into you because it is a part of you. It is a part of you that needs to be held and nurtured like a child because it ultimately could be part of your inner child's experiences. And when you do that, you don't even need to do I didn't even do anything. There's a lot you can do with fragmentation work. You can sit in it. You can go really, really deep. But I literally pulled it in and I just felt it. I felt the energy of it, the emotion of it. And all of a sudden it's like it dissolved in me and it created it dissolved into the wholeness. And that two things can happen with fragmentations. And fragmentations, what happens when you have too many of them, you have this continuous back and forthing with yourself. You have the part of you that's the higher consciousness that knows you want more, that knows the timelines that are available, that are trying to drag you up in them. And then you have the part of you that's like, no, but this isn't safe, Sarah. Remember when we experienced this? Remember when we went through that? Remember when we had this trauma and this happened? Remember when I was subjected to scrutiny and someone made fun of me? No. And then it'll pull you back. What I realize now, when you can pull that in, it will alchemize into your consciousness and it'll do one of two things. Number one, it will meld into the whole fractal that is you, that is your pure consciousness. Or two, it will stay as a fragmentation and it will only show itself if it feels like it is there. And it is its own consciousness, by the way. If it feels like it's there to actually serve a higher purpose for you, then it will remain its own fragmentation and it will only show itself when it's like really needed. Not when you're trying to show up on a Facebook Live or whatever and you don't because you're afraid or you can't commit to structure or routine or whatever the stories are. So anyway, it was really, really powerful. I think I just laid on the couch and I was just in this state of going through, witnessing these things and instead of pushing them away, pulling them into my body and inviting them in because they were a part of me and allowing them to alchemize themselves and just literally shifting myself just vibrationally to a higher timeline that was just there. But the fragmentations, they can be like anchors if you don't alchemize them. Here's the thing. There's a time and a place to do this because I think ultimately sometimes people can spend way too much time on healing and they're kicking up dust that isn't even there because of the stories, because they're making their reality mean something that they don't like. People can continuously be attached to the evidence distortion, meaning they're looking at their physical reality for evidence of I am good enough, I've created success. And if the evidence isn't there, then we think something might be wrong with us that there really isn't. So this will continuously help, have us perpetuating things. The way you know if there's a trauma or fragmentation or a belief or something sitting there that needs to be alchemized is you will feel uncomfortable. It's not from the judgment. There's a difference here. It's not from the judgment of your current reality. You got to stop judging your current reality if you're not liking it. Okay? It's like you feeling innately, something's just not quite, something's off in me. There's a scarcity, there's a worry, there's a fear, and it's sitting there and it's been there for a minute. So don't ignore that knock on the door when you feel something that's trying to come through. Invite it in. Do the thing that's going to feel counterintuitive because you will alchemize it and things will start shifting. And I was like sitting in the, so this was yesterday and I was like, why am I feeling so amazing today? Like and I was like, oh my gosh, all of that shit I was feeling and that I let come through when I was fasting, I've alchemized it. And like, all I wanted to be was so present yesterday. I'm just like, I'm fucking loving my reality right now. I'm just loving it so much. And then I had another awareness come through. I could start to get uncomfortable when I would use my projector, which is like my third eye projector, right? Our third eye projector, what it does is it allows us to see the variant of timelines that are available because all of them are available to us. But based on my past and the experience if I had in my past, that activates this projector to future project into the future. And what we future project are the timelines we step into. And so I was so presently, and also what we future project is what we're going to feel emotionally as well. Because we're going to emotionally feel hope. If it's good, if we're future projecting something good, we're going to emotionally feel excited. We're going to emotionally feel that anticipation. If we're future projecting into a higher realm timeline, if we're allowing ourselves to access that future projection. However, if we're holding on to our past distortions, if we're in fragmented consciousness, if we're holding on to the evidence distortion and how we've judged our reality, how do you think our future projection, if we have a variant of timelines, if we're sifting through timelines at 1 billion times per second, this is according to Bashar, how do you think our future, what projection will we be in? And that's going to create a resonance that then we step into if we're constantly back here. And what I call the slave anchors. Not good, right? So I was like, there's a future that does not exist. And I'm going to stay so present in how good I'm feeling because I'm going to allow my higher self to pick me up and plop me into that timeline. I don't need to control any of this. So like presence, when they talk about the power of being so present, it's so fucking cliche, but it is so true. Because you could just feel so good in the present, knowing that future doesn't exist, but then you also get to choose it based on how you project into it. So it's pretty powerful. It's pretty powerful. I just want to reiterate that you guys are in charge. You guys are in charge and you're experiencing everything through the meanings that you're giving things, how you're judging yourself, how you're judging your reality, the stories you create and the meanings that you give them. Okay. This is how you become a deliberate creator, but you have to consciously be aware of these stories you create and the meanings you give them. If you're not consciously aware of them, you're not deliberately creating because you're having the subconscious stories driving your car. And that could either be a good or a bad thing. If you're hyper aware of how you've programmed, and I am like daily always working on how I reprogram myself because I know whatever subconsciously is in the programs, that's what's driving the vehicle. And if I let the old parts of me, the hurt parts of me, the distorted parts of me, the lower realm parts of me continue to exist, when I know I can feel the humming of the discomfort, the undercurrent of the discomfort, if I keep pushing it down and let it continuously exist and I don't let it come out and then invite it in to be held and then alchemized, that will be the person at the driver's seat. That's not the person you want at the driver's seat. Because you will subconsciously be emanating a frequency which will determine where you land in timelines. So you get to really be conscious with yourself like every single freaking day. This is 90% of the work when it comes to success in your business, by the way. Like this is the work. And then this creates clarity. This creates like, boom, the downloads. This is the next action steps. This is what gets to happen based on what I feel and based on the timeline that I'm peeking into, the reality I know is done, that I'm feeling into. My core, my heart, my soul is guiding me. And then I take the steps and I fucking love the journey. That's the other piece to this. Fall in love with the journey. Love the journey. That's the biggest key. You've got to be in love with the journey. Because if you don't fall in love with the journey, guess what happens? You fall into the results slave anchor. It's the results slave template. You will stop at nothing for the result. You will hate the journey, and you'll be living in this whole means to an end consciousness when there is no end. There is no end. You're going to hit six figures and be like, what's next? And then feel that same old version of you going, all right, well, how do we get there? You're going to hit multi six figure. You're going to hit. So love this. Love this right now. And that will activate everything for you. I promise. So love the right now journey. Constantly be ego blasting yourself. I'm doing that all the time. Ego blasting means look at all this shit I created already. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, I experienced. And yes, there are still things to come, but this is where I get to be in excited anticipation. I get to be in the holy shit, I did it energy and also the excited anticipation. That is a very magnetic frequency to be in. Hyper magnetic. That combined with the clarity of where you're going, this is how things come to you. Opportunities come to you. Clients randomly come out of nowhere. And this is how it gets to be. This is all quantum. This is a quantum game, you guys. Quantum game. You gotta show up though in the strategy. You gotta show up in that, and this is where structures will support this. And there's no one size fits all, which I love about business. Everything gets to be aligned. You can create 6 and 7 figures just through organic content. You could create it through having everything automated. And if that's your jam, that's becoming a lot more of my jam. But I'm gonna, dabble in both because I can. And this is how it gets to be, because this is how you decide your way through your reality. You decide your way through it. You get to choose. You get to choose. Also, you are going to experience humanness as well. Humanness meaning you're going to fucking fall off the train sometimes. You're going to go off track. You're going to trip over, get dusty as hell, and you're going to maybe fall into a pile of shame or whatever it is, but then you're not going to judge yourself or make that mean anything except for you are in a human experience. Your soul asked to experience contrast. That's what we asked, to experience contrast. So when we do, we got to stop making it mean all these crazy things about I'm not worthy, I'm not good about ourselves, all of the meanings. Stop it. Just objectively observe yourself in this and be like, oh yeah, here we go. Human experience. I'm having a human moment. That's it. Now I'm going to put myself back into choosing. I'm going to let myself feel this. I'm going to invite it in for a cup of tea. It might want to have a chat and give me some really freaking cool awarenesses that I'm going to take on. And then I'm going to get back in the driver's seat again. And I'm going to just decide what's next for me. What do I get to experience? I'm going to be in the holy shit, I did it energy and the excited anticipation of everything that's coming through, and be in love with all of the little moments that I get to experience. The sunlight in the morning, the walks, the nature, all of it, the car drives, the music, all the simple things, the food that we came onto this planet to experience that we take for granted every single day. And then don't forget that you are abundance. Your innate frequency is abundance. The resonance of your higher self is the same resonance as abundance, by the way. So when you're not feeling abundance, that's another thing that you've cut yourself off from. The reason I know this is the purest frequency of abundance is you want for nothing, because you know you have everything. And your higher self knows that it is everything. And that is abundance. So when you start tapping into that awareness of abundance every single day, guess what happens? That frequency shows itself to you in the freaking craziest of ways. Whew. I just want you guys to really understand the importance of a conscious practice every single day and how that contributes to your experience, knowing that all the timelines are available to you, every single one that you can conceive of and that you can feel that it's there and it's already done. None of this is a linear thing. It's all there. You're just ridding yourself of the anchors, the old anchors that are your old belief systems and the old meanings. You're ridding yourself of those anchors so you can be liberated and leap into that next higher realm timeline. That is your job. Let it come to you. That's how it gets to be. And yeah, you can weave in and out of the feminine and the masculine. Like, I love that dance of the doing, the go-getting, the being in. I love that. But also in the frequency of then it gets to come in crazy ways. And we're never going to have control over how all that comes into fruition. And you don't want to be either, because it will come in the most magnetic, magical ways that you could ever comprehend. All right, beautifuls. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for listening today, beautiful soul. I hope you got so much gold and were activated in such a way that you could step into your highest timeline of abundance and freedom, because it is more than possible for you. If that desire has been planted in your soul, it is so deliberate. If you wouldn't mind, please rate, review, subscribe to this podcast so that we can get this message into the hearts and ears of more amazing light beings across the world. I would love to continue this conversation with you, so feel free to get in touch on Instagram at sarah.tynan.quantumcoach. If you're a Facebook person, you can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Sarah Tynan International. And please don't ever forget, if your desire is there, it's because your destiny is there too. You just have to remember who you are. Bye for now, beautiful.